Welcome to the BEASTwriter family, where social media engagement is encouraged. I'm your host, Ryan Sakamoto, and today we're going to be breaking down Deebo Samuel's breaking news that came out yesterday. I went ahead and, if you subscribe to my BEASTwriter Plus newsletter, I put out a really in-depth, thought-out article on exactly how I see that one playing out. But again, we're going to go ahead and talk about it because not everyone has the BEASTwriter Plus newsletter. And a lot of you guys, subscribe to me on YouTube or follow me on Instagram. In fact, I ran into Rick, if you're watching. I was at the gym yesterday and I saw a guy wearing a Niner hat. And I was like, hey, what do you think about Deebo Samuel? I was like, oh, man, like, I didn't want to bother you. You know, he's like, I know who you are. Like, you're a BEASTwriter. Like, and he's like, oh, I wanted to ask you what's going on, but you look like you're in the zone. So I was like, nah, man, that's cool, man. I'm always down to talk. So if you see me out and about, I'm always down to talk about football, whether it be the 49ers, would be the Las Vegas Raiders, would be the Pittsburgh Steelers, or whatever the case may be. So I talked to him about it, and he's really bummed. He's like, I'm at the gym right now just blowing out some steam because everybody's kind of upset with the whole Deebo Samuel situation. How'd that sour so quickly? And me, I, for one, am also upset because it's Deebo Samuel. Like, Deebo Samuel's the team's best player. You're going to trade off your team's best player for the second time in 3 years. Obviously, DeForest Buckner was the first back in 2019 under the John Lynch regime. And I'm going to break it down as to why both of these situations are exactly the same. And for anyone that wants to challenge me on that, go subscribe to my BEASTwriter Plus newsletter because I put some insider analysis in there. And again, check the Beast receipts. They check out all day, every day. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. We're going to go ahead and touch base on that BEASTwriter Plus newsletter article that I put up. And if you guys have yet to subscribe to the BEASTwriter Plus newsletter, for all of you guys that did, we have 287 subscribers now, and we just started this 8 months ago. So thank you so much for everyone that subscribes to it. But if you're not subscribed to it, that's all good, man, because you have a 7-day free trial. And I'm going to be putting up my 2022 NFL mock draft exclusively in the newsletter. And that way you can kind of see what I had to say. And let's be honest, like when I format my analysis on a pick, it's going to be more than 140 characters, right? So I really go in depth, and you guys know what I'm talking about if you guys subscribe to the newsletter. So let's go ahead and talk about it. Let's talk about Deebo Samuel. Let's talk about what's going on with Deebo Samuel. Let's talk about how it happened, why it happened, what the rumors are, and how this all came about. A lot of different parameters here in the BEASTwriter family, right? All right, let's start with the first and foremost issue is let's get the myths out of the way, all right? The myth is he was upset about how he was being used. No. In the newsletter, I even said, I said, no, it's about the money, man. It comes down to money talks. We all know what walks. Look, if you were a wide back, whatever the case may be, and I put in the name in terms as if you're in the biotech, working in Silicon Valley here in the Bay Area, but same thing applies. Like if you're a multiple trick pony, you should be compensated as such. You shouldn't be downgraded or looked at any differently because you can do all these different things and do it at the highest level. You should be compensated. So for me, it was almost like, no, it's not about how he was being used. He was okay with tread on his tires. Look, he was okay with being the wide back. He just wanted to be compensated for being the wide back. So if you're going to teeter-totter between, he's a running back or what? No, he's the wide back. That's a position that no one really has right now, right, on the roster. I mean, yes, you have Cordell Patterson from the Atlanta Falcons, right? Last year, you have obviously Curtis Samuel with the Carolina Panthers 2 years ago prior to signing with the Washington football team, now the Washington Commanders. So I get it, but not to the elite level that Deebo Samuel does. And before I just hopped on, I got a notification here on Twitter from some guy, one of my followers, and says he spits out all these wide receiver stats. Well, obviously he's not a BEASTwriter Plus newsletter subscriber because I already downplayed that myth. All right. So again, I cover every angle. I see it from both sides. If I'm Deebo Samuel, I'm pissed off. Look, if John Lynch is trying to lowball me, I'm going to want out too. Like, and I'm not saying John Lynch lowballed him because I don't know what happened. But again, I think there was a report that he was offered, 19 million APY or something like that. And if you look on February 2nd, check the Beast receipts here on YouTube and the BEASTwriter family. What did I say? I said Deebo Samuel is going to be on contract snag. Look at the comments. Look at the people on the comments. And they were saying, oh, no, he's not going anywhere. I was like, okay, watch. I just stay quiet. And here we are today. So challenge me all you want. That's on you. That's all you. But don't get mad when I come back in hindsight and say, hey, look, real-time checked out to hindsight and real-time analysis to hindsight, and here we are today. Deebo Samuel is the number one wide receiver in the entire NFL. I'm telling you guys right now. He could do a multitude of different things. Now, Louis Riddick from ESPN made a great point. He went on ESPN Live today and he said, you know what? Yes, Deebo Samuel is a generational talent. Yes, he adds another dimension to an offense. Yes, he might go to the New York Jets, one of the teams we're going to talk about. Why? Because obviously, and I put it in my newsletter or earlier, obviously I tweeted out saying they're going to be applying the full court press. Joe Douglas was asked the Deebo Samuel question. He's like, yeah, well, basically, yeah, we're going to look at everything. No, basically leave no stone unturned, and we're going to be aggressive and whatever that means. Whatever that means, whatever. But getting back to it, Louis Riddick also said that, Jets make perfect sense because obviously, and again, I put it up in the newsletter yesterday before he hopped on and talked about it today, but we talked about the same points, right? Familiar coaching staff, familiar cultural identity, yada, yada, yada. But what Louis Riddick, and I would agree with Louis Riddick on that. I think Louis Riddick deserves, by the way, a GM job. Louis Riddick is really good. Louis, if you're watching, yeah, hopefully you get the Steelers job, bro. Just saying, I would be in favor of that. But we still have GM Kevin Colbert there for at least this draft. But yeah, Louis Riddick would be dope, I think. Big Steelers fan, by the way, if you guys haven't noticed. I'm a big Steelers fan. I'm a big Niner fan, obviously, at heart. I like all 32 teams. I have no bias toward the Seahawks or the Raiders. I love them all. I just love talking football. But getting back to it, no, Louis Riddick made great points, right? And again, the Jets make totally financial sense, right? Like from a financial standpoint, from GM Joe Douglas, who comes from the Ozzie Newsome tree with the Baltimore Ravens, you can kind of see where he's playing this. He's looking at it and saying, you know what? Like, okay, so word on the street is that the New York Jets, let me just put it up here. The New York Jets are probably, there's some in the building that think that the Niners are going to be asking for a king's ransom. A king's ransom. What does that mean? To me, a king's ransom means multiple round one picks and multiple day two picks. Now, it could be a combination of a lot of different things, too. It could be a multiple round one pick, or it could be one round pick, multiple round two picks, and possibly a player. Any combination of that. And I'm not just talking about like a Brandon Whiting, Terrell Owens deal, okay? That was one of the worst trades ever, by the way. But for all you Niner fans, remember that. Guys, remember Brandon Whiting? Yeah, no one does because he did absolutely nothing for San Francisco. But getting back to it, that was one of the worst lopsided trades in NFL history. Sweetener was a 5th round draft pick. Woo! Cool story, bro. But yeah, if you look at it, that's what I think a king's ransom is, right? You're looking at multiple draft pick capital early on, right? Multiple round one, 2 round one draft picks. I would consider that a king's ransom. Now, again, draft position plays a role. Talked about this in the BEASTwriter Plus newsletter. When you look at Joe Douglas and how he likes to leverage the draft, again, I covered Joe Douglas since he became the team's GM. Also covered him when he was with the Baltimore Ravens. But getting back to it, look what he likes to do, right? And again, Joe Douglas loves draft capital, right? He has 4th and the 10th overall pick. At number 4, realistically, what are you getting? You're going to go after, and in my opinion, I think you're reaching for a guy like Garrett Wilson at 4, right? But what I'm hearing at a New York, right? My sources are correct. They're willing to move number 10, not so much number 4, but number 10. And if that's the case, my thinking is at number 4, they are looking at getting a CB1. I think they're looking at Sauce Gardner. I really do, because if you look last year, Robert Saleh even went on record how many times? Oh man, our boundary cornerbacks, yeah, but basically we need help. Like, yeah, they're improving, yada yada. Nah, man, your boundary cornerbacks were freaking awful, dude. Like, you need a boundary cornerback, and Sauce Gardner is definitely a CB1. I graded every single snap of him. He's the guy's a monster. Didn't allow a touchdown. In fact, I broke it down in my BEASTwriter Plus newsletter. Talked about it here on the BWF channel. Exactly his stat line. How many yards he was targeted, or not yards he was targeted. How many yards he gave up. How often he was targeted. Which games. Yada yada yada. Right. So Sauce Gardner at 4. I wouldn't be surprised if he went that high. Now, do top 5 cornerbacks go that high? I mean, or sorry, do cornerbacks go that high in top 5. I don't know, let alone the top 10, right? So again, they also need help on the offensive line. What are they going to do with Mekhi Becton? What's going to happen with Mekhi Becton? Their round 1 pick coming out of Louisville, right? Big guy. Like everyone's like, oh man, this guy's going to be the next generational talent. Every year we hear it, right? Oh, Derek Brown's going to be the next generational talent. Like, nah, man, I ain't see it. But anyways, it is what it is. The Jets have a lot of needs. I think if you're sitting there at 4, I think you have to go Sauce Gardner. And then at number 10, if you're going to be trading that to the San Francisco 49ers, because likely what's going to be available, I think Garrett Wilson comes off the board to the Atlanta Falcons. That's just my guess, because we don't know what's going to happen with Calvin Ridley, right? Is he coming back? We don't know. You have Kyle Pitts there. You lose Russell Gage to the Tampa Bay Bucks. I mean, there's come on. It makes too much sense. And you think Terry Fontenot's going to go ahead and not Terry Fontenot, but you think anyone of those wide receiver ones are going to be available and that's inside the top 10, sitting there at 10, I should say? I don't think so. I don't see that happening. So I think what you want to do is, yes, Deebo Samuel. There is no Deebo Samuel in this year's draft class. And here's some food for thought. I was on Instagram literally before hopping on this show, and I follow NFL Network. And this is a trade proposal, okay? Legit trade proposal that came on my feed on Instagram. If you guys are on Instagram, there's a lot of crap on Instagram. But anyways, here's a mock draft trade through Maurice Jones-Drew 2.0. He says the 49ers get the 29th pick and more, and they draft Treylon Burks, and the Chiefs get Deebo Samuel. Look, the Chiefs are one of the teams that I have as a front runner for Deebo Samuel services, simply because they lose Tyreek Hill and they lose a few other receivers. I pointed out in the BEASTwriter Plus newsletter exactly the dynamics and how he would fit into the system. Brett Veach, being a top 5 GM in my BWF grading system, talked about this, right? For you newsletter subscribers. But I'm not going to go ahead and spin my wheels talking about it like echoing myself, because it's already in there. But what I will say that there's a lot of different things that go into account, right? Like, for instance, like going back to the Jets, right? You look at the salary cap, right? They have room to fit Deebo Samuel in the salary cap. It comes down to money. I don't care what anyone says. Secondly, they have the draft capital, right? So you can fit them in. And then more importantly, Joe Douglas talked about it. He said, yeah, you want to have the best, you want to bring the best team on the football field once the 2020 season starts, but you also have to look at the foreseeable future, like 2023, 2024, and so on, right? Like you have to have I always talk about it in the newsletter. You have to have a 3 to 5 year vision. Like you have to know guys that are coming out next year. Yes, the 2022 NFL draft has not even taken place yet, but a lot of these draft picks, even for me, I did legwork on them back in 2019, pre-COVID. So like, it's almost like you have to do that due diligence, because again, you have to create some type of perfect storm. So when positional needs hit, you know exactly what's the cream of the crop and what's coming out next year. And then you also have to look at the pro player personnel side and say, hey, look, these are the prospects that fit our scheme. Let's see if we can target them in our price range and go from there, right? And then again, you can take into the draft board, which I talk about in the newsletter, the vertical board versus the horizontal board, the different tierings, how you want to leverage multiple round 1 picks, right? Talked about the Kansas City Chiefs, right? The Kansas City Chiefs have multiple round 1 picks, right? When you look at it, they have the 29th and 30th overall pick is the tail end of the first round. And so I think it's 29th and 30, right? Yeah, 29th and 30, right? So realistically, what's going to be available? Well, based on my mock draft, if you guys subscribe to my newsletter, which is only going to be on the newsletter, exclusively in the newsletter is my mock draft, only on the newsletter, you guys will see, based on what the 49ers needs are, and I talked about it in the Deebo Samuel trade value, it's like, what are you going to do? You're going to reach for a wide receiver? Funny how people say like Treylon Burks. Why would you mock Treylon Burks to the San Francisco 49ers? One, he doesn't fit, in my opinion, he doesn't fit what Kyle Shanahan likes to do. Kyle Shanahan is a stickler for route running. And Treylon Burks is not he's a good route runner, but he's not like a great route runner. And so, again, someone else put out there like, oh, like Treylon Burks is like, he can replicate Deebo Samuel's because he's what is he, 6'3", 225, whatever the case. No, he doesn't have that 4.41 speed. He doesn't have the agility in open space to make tacklers miss in open space. He doesn't have the agility to fight for the edge. He doesn't have that. That's not who he is. So to say and just say, oh, well, this guy's 6'3", 225, he can be that Deebo Samuel type. No, doesn't work that way. Doesn't work that way. So I think it's wrong that people are making that analysis like Treylon Burks is going to be used in a similar role like Deebo Samuel. Now watch me be wrong and watch Kyle Shanahan target Treylon Burks. Look, check the beast receipts. This is draft time. What I say when Dante Pettis was drafted on draft day, literally got drafted. And I was like, man, if you look at the Stanford game, he couldn't get off press coverage, man. This guy's skinny. He's got the bulk up, right? Asked the question to Kyle Shanahan straight up. I was like, hey, man, why'd you trade up in the second round to get Dante Pettis? Because he looks like he has problems getting off press. And he's like, oh, that's one of the, literally go back and look at the transcripts. He literally told me, he's like, dead ass, and said, well, that's one of the things we liked about Dante Pettis. I was like, okay, we're gonna see who's right. Where's Dante Pettis now? I'm just saying. I kept quiet because I was like, well, dang. Okay, well, he put me in my place, I guess. And I'm like, well, I'm just gonna be silence is golden type of deal. We're gonna see. Here we are today. So it's interesting. It's interesting how this is all going to play out. There's a lot of freaking questions. Daniel Middleton, thank you so much for the super chat and super sticker. If you guys like the work, like the channel, like the YouTube content that I'm providing here today before I hop on the Relevant app with my man Tom McManus on In the Huddle, please do me a favor and provide me a super chat and super sticker. It's greatly appreciated. Daniel Jr. Middleton, my man, who's also a BEASTwriter Plus newsletter subscriber, says, I would ask for at least the number 4 for Deebo to start. Wow, that's crazy, because at number 4, I don't think GM Joe Douglas is going to go ahead and make that play. And I talked about that in the newsletter. That's not, I think that's off the table. I think the negotiation starts at number 10 when it comes to the New York Jets. Now we can talk about, obviously, another team. I talked about the Kansas City Chiefs. I think they're a dark horse. I think, to be honest with you, I think they might be the team that ultimately ends up with Deebo Samuel. I mean, that's not what I'm hearing. I'm not saying, oh, they are the front runner. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying my feeling, it's not a gut feeling, but my feeling is they're definitely one of the top, I would say top 3 teams in play. Because if you read my newsletter, broke it down brick by brick, exactly what it means if the Kansas City Chiefs landed Deebo Samuel. They have the draft capital, just like the New York Jets, right? They hold the 29th to 30th overall pick. I believe they hold the 50th and the 62 pick. So again, you look at your mock drafts, and as you're running your mock drafts, not based on what we would do, right? Not based on what I would do if I was the GM. All my mock drafts are based on how I actually see the draft playing out. And then you look at your positional needs and say, okay, well, based on how the draft board is stacking up, and then you formulate everything else in between, you know, you lose guys like Tyreek Hill, you lose guys like Ryan Pringle, you lose guys like DeMarcus Robinson, right? And you play in the AFC West. You don't play in the NFC. So trading them to a team like the Green Bay Packers, although it's a likely destination, because it could happen because they lost Devontae Adams, Marquez Valdes-Scantling, this goes on and on and on. Kansas City Chiefs is sitting there and they have back-to-back first-round picks in the tail end of the first round. I think that would be a good play for them. Now, how realistically, what can they do there? I honestly think they're going to reach for a wide receiver, a tier 2 wide receiver, because I think all the cream of the crop, tier 1 wide receivers are going to be flying off the board, and that includes Jameson Williams, my number 1 wide receiver, obviously, who blew his ACL. But I think based on how my mock is stacking up and based on the 49ers needs, they're going to get sloppy seconds or thirds. I think it'd be wise to even trade out. They have multiple round 1 picks, potentially. I would trade out of that pick and then get more draft capital. Then you can kind of play day 2 how you want to play it. But every year we see it. Every year we see a team climbing back into the tail end of the first round to go ahead and get a prospect that they covet. We've seen it in years past. And again, that's a hot spot for a trade. Anywhere in that 25 to 32 range, you will see a team. Every year it happens, it seems like, right? Every year we see a team, oh man, they're trading up back. Niners did it, right, for Reuben Foster, right? So we've seen this in the past. So to say it's not going to happen or it's not likely, it's fool's gold. It's going to happen. You just don't know which team that is. And if you're holding favorable draft positions sitting there at 29 and 30, and there's a cluster of 5 or 6 players that you know you can get at the top of round 2, why not trade back, pick up more draft capital, use the Bill Walsh strategy, more picks you have at the board, right? More darts at the board, the better your chances of hitting. Then you can go after a guy like Sky Moore, who I really like. Christian Watkins might end up in the top end of the round 2, right? These are some guys that I see valued in the tail end of the first to early on in the second, just like last year with a guy like Javonte Williams. You guys know how I felt about Javonte Williams. Watch. He's a round 1 running back, but he's going to slide in round 2. Who got him? The Denver Broncos. What draft grade did I give the Denver Broncos? A. Why? Because they also got Pat Surtain. They also got, what did they get? Brandon Browning, right? The linebacker. And they also had, didn't they get Quinn Miners too? I thought they got Quinn Miners from Whitewater. All right. But anyways, you guys can see my YouTube grades on, or BWF grades on the draft class every team. I did it. Yeah, it's a lot of work, but hey, it's fun. All right. So let's get to some of your questions. There's a lot of comments coming through in here. Let's see here. Oh, thank you so much for the super chat. David Velez, he says, what are the chances the Niners pony up the cash as they should and end up keeping Deebo? Well, chances are slim to none. Look, there's reports out saying it's not about the money. Like literally people are saying that on ESPN, NFL Network. It's not about the money. No, it's always about the money. Look, if it ain't about the money, especially in the way you're being used, it's always, especially with a player in the second year of his contract, fighting for that second contract. Rookie contracts are, right? It's scaled, right? Dude, in your second contract, you want a front-loaded deal? I would want a front-loaded deal because you're one hit away from your career ending. And if you're playing a wide back position, obviously running backs have more tread on their tires. I mean, that's taking a lot of beating, and you're not going to compensate him. Hey, look, if I was Deebo Samuel, like, dude, I won't play for you either because, look, you're not paying me what I'm worth. So I don't think that John Lynch, Parag Marate, or any of these guys, I don't think they're going to pay Deebo Samuel. I think they're going to let him walk and get something in return because we saw him do it with DeForest Buckner. And Mike Yam, who was on here, my boy Mike Yam, we talked about it, and I talked about it in the newsletter as well. You know, I asked him, I say, straight up, like, do you think Deebo Samuel's going to be moved on draft day? He said, hell no. You can't, right? You can't, right? Because he does this. And I said, I agree with you, but I wouldn't be surprised if it did happen because they did it with DeForest Buckner. And when it comes to GM John Lynch, nothing surprises me. Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, shame on you, right? Or shame on me. Fool me once, the opposite, vice versa. But you get the picture. No, Deebo Samuel's gone. Look, people are saying, oh, he doesn't want to play in California weather. Look, who doesn't want to play in California weather just because you're from the East Coast? I don't know. I mean, that could be a factor. I mean, maybe he's homesick, and I know it does happen. I have friends who played who are just like, they get homesick, you know, because they're from South Carolina. Gamecocks. You guys know who my boy is. Drafted by the Niners, Trent Baalke, 2012, 2011. But yeah, there's a lot of different factors that could play a role. Obviously, the taxes here are high. You know, if you went to a team like, I don't know, tax-free state, cost of living is cheaper. I mean, there's a lot of different things, but to say it's not about the money, I don't know. I disagree. I think, look, if he was the highest non-paid quarterback, you think he'd be complaining about the money? Honestly, I don't think so. Like, would you be, if you're the highest non-paid quarterback, would you be like, oh man, I don't want to play in California, dude. Weather's so bad, but I'm homesick. Look, it's a trade-off, dude. It's a trade-off at the end of the day. And if you're getting paid that much bread, shoot, fly back every other day. I don't know. Obviously, you can't do that because you have to be at the facility, but fly in your hometown peeps, dude. Keep it all in the family. That's all I got to say. But thank you so much, though, for the super chat and super sticker. David Velez, really appreciate the love and support. Means a lot. All right. So Daniel Jr. Middleton also says, thank you so much for the super chat and super sticker. Says, can Carolina compensate for Deebo if Jimmy was thrown in the deal to go after the 6th? That's interesting. That is an interesting take. Do I see that happening? I don't know. I just don't see that happening. But I seen crazier things happen on draft day. We all have seen crazier things happen on draft day. And nothing would surprise. I haven't heard that one yet, but that is an interesting take. That is really interesting because if you're a BEASTwriter Plus newsletter subscriber, I currently have Malik Willis going to number 6 to the Carolina Panthers. And you look at their needs, to be honest with you, I think they're okay, man. I think they're okay. At wide receiver, look, they have DJ Moore, again, one of the most underrated wide receivers in the NFL. I like DJ Moore a lot, right? So they have DJ Moore, obviously Christian McCaffrey, CMC is a dual threat coming out of the flat, so he's also somebody that you can target. But they also drafted, who I really like, Terence. What's his name? Terence Moore. Who's the LSU guy? Terence Marshall, right? I believe his name's Terence Marshall. I liked Terence Marshall, who they got, I believe, in the second round last year, or third round, something like that. They also had again, you can see my Panthers draft grades. I did one on that, but they also got the Notre Dame H-back, right? Who was that guy? Gosh, I'm drawing a blank. Help me out, guys, if you guys know what I'm talking about. Carolina Panthers fans, keep pounding. Help your boy out. Who was that guy that from Notre Dame? I'm drawing a blank. I want to say Tremble, but I don't think that's his name. Or is it? I don't know. Anyways, they got a nice draft class. I don't see that happening, but again, that'd be crazy because again, South Carolina Panthers, kind of like hometown state, right? So I can see it playing out. It's gonna be interesting. That's all I gotta say. That Alejandro Malanche says SF can ask for 35, 38, 69, and Elijah Moore from the Jets. Look, Elijah Moore was one of my draft crushes last year. We had my good friend who also worked with the Niners, now a Bill scout, AJ Highsmith, and we talked about our draft crushes. His draft crush was Elijah Moore. I provided my pre-draft analysis on Elijah Moore. He said it was spot on, dead on. And Elijah Moore is a beast in the slot. I mean, that guy is tough going across the middle. I just love watching Elijah Moore. Not the biggest receiver, but he's tough as nails, man. He would be nice, but then again, what are you going to do with Brandon Ayuk? Brandon Ayuk, I feel like this is an opportunity for Brandon Ayuk, kind of like a blessing in disguise, because now Brandon Ayuk gets his opportunity to possibly and potentially be a wide receiver 1. So he's going to see a big target share. So for all you fantasy football owners, and again, why was he in the doghouse? Well, I described it on the BEASTwriter Plus newsletter on why Kyle Shanahan said he was inconsistent. I'm telling you, subscribe to the newsletter, guys. Subscribe to the newsletter. You guys will know everything I have to say. If you guys are watching on YouTube, you can subscribe. It's in the description box below. Also provide my BEASTwriter Plus newsletter article on Deebo Samuel. And again, it's right here. Just look at the banner and you just go to BEASTwriterNFL.com. I can see it happening, but I think John Lynch, knowing John Lynch, I think he's going to want like at least one round 1 pick. He's going to at least want one. Like, he's going to at least want that. He's not going to want 3 or right here, right? 3 second round picks and Elijah Moore from the Jets. I think he wants a first round pick at least. That's the bare minimum. Like, he probably wants 2 round 1 picks. Literally, he's looking at those. All 8 of those teams, by the way, that hold multiple round 1 picks, all have a need for wide receiver, and that includes the New York Giants. So again, you're going back east here, right? We're peeling back layers of the onion to really get to the core. Spencer Bailey, my guy, says, pay Deebo. This is the damn shame, one of the worst off seasons in team history. Look, does it surprise you? I mean, we saw it with DeForest Buckner. It doesn't surprise us, man. It doesn't surprise us here in the BWF. Brad Lodge says it's definitely about the money. He wants to play both wide. Yep. You see what I'm saying? Like, Brad, you get it, bro. Exactly. Look what Brad's saying. Thank you, Brad, for tuning in and agreeing with me. You're a smart man. I'm joking. No, if you have difference of opinion, that's fine too. But as long as you're respectful, it's all good and dandy here in the BWF. But look, it's kind of common sense. And the BEASTwriter Plus news that I described it, it's like, you don't think it's not about the money? You do not know. I'm just saying, like, it has something to do with it. It may not be the one and be all factor, but I mean, yes, it factors into it. Like, it comes down to money. How you value somebody is based on how deep your pockets are. How deep are your pockets, John Lynch? How deep are your pockets, Parag? And do you want to use that and push it toward Deebo? Because you also have other guys to extend. You guys got to remember, they have to extend Nick Bosa, right? They just let DJ Jones walk, right? They let K'Wan Williams go, right? So all these free agents that helped him get to the top in that 2019 Super Bowl run are no longer. DeForest Buckner gone, right? Jimmy Ward, isn't he in the last year of his contract? What's going to happen with Jacoski Tart, right? So if you have, again, if the 49ers can land a number 10th overall pick, based on my mock draft, they could go after a guy like Kyle Hamilton from Notre Dame. I think that would be a great pickup because now you're establishing a need on the back end. Now, do I think you should draft a safety in the top 10? My line of thinking is you don't. I always go BPA, right? Always go PPA, and I would not draft Kyle Hamilton inside the top 10 if it was me, but John Lynch has done crazier things. And I like Kyle Hamilton a lot, by the way. Now, I don't think he's a free safety. I see all these reports saying he can play a single high. No, I broke that down in the BEASTwriter Plus newsletter. Talked about his grades, right, in my mock drafts, right? Go back to the film. You'll see what I had to say about that if you subscribe to the newsletter. Again, all this, if you guys know, again, we're up to 287 subscribers on the BEASTwriter Plus newsletter. So thank you, everyone that's tuning in to this, because you guys knew I was going to hop on. Daniel Jr. Milton said, did you hear the Instagram live with Deebo talking about his negotiations in the background? I did not. I did not hear about that. Bay Area Baller says, Chris Culver, your boy. Yeah, not only was he my boy, or is my boy, I was also his insurance agent. Go figure. And Tremaine Brock, and a few others. If you know, you know. If you know, you know. All right. Daniel Jr. Milton says Bosa will get paid more than Deebo. Probably, because it's a premium position. But wide receiver is a premium position. But again, it comes to the edge presence, right? The edge presence. Here we go. My man Barunas, thank you so much for the super chat and super sticker. Says, elephant in the room. Is there any chance that Jimmy will be the starter in 2022 season? I can't take that torture anymore. What is John Lynch doing? He's holding out for a king's ransom for Jimmy Garoppolo. I'm joking, obviously. I'm joking. Semi. No, realistically, what are you going to do? Like, okay, so he has a bum shoulder. We talked about it with my boy Mike Yam, right? And he's tying up what? How much money? 25, 26, whatever that number is, $1 million. I mean, realistically, what kind of message does that send to Trey Lance, who's going to be the starter? Look, Trey Lance needs no distractions. You have Jimmy Garoppolo on your roster. That's going to be a freaking distraction, because every time he makes a mistake, he's going to be looking over his shoulder. And then the veterans are going to look at the coach, Kyle Shanahan, and be like, are we done yet? Like, really? That's so unfair to Trey Lance, because Trey Lance, again, you know he's going to have these rookie mistakes. You know it. But you also see the potential. So it's unfair to him and put him in a compromised position when you have a backup quarterback who really you wanted to get shipped out because of whatever reason. Oh, man, he has a shoulder injury, so no one wants him, blah, blah, blah. You know, we wanted a round 2 pick for whatever the case may be, dude. He's still on the roster. What happened to that one more year? One more year. One more. Here we are. Is it 2 more years? I don't know what's going on. But I think if I were GM John Lynch, and if you invested all that draft capital in Trey Lance, you have to give him every opportunity to shine. Now, I'm all about creating competition. But at the same time, you got to understand, Trey Lance is 21. At 21, I don't know if I can handle that pressure being an NFL quarterback, let alone a franchise quarterback of one of the most storied franchises in NFL history. This ain't like the Jacksonville Jaguars, dude. Come on. This is the San Francisco freaking 49ers, yo. Like, what are we doing? As Julian Edelman will say. Now, I would ship out Jimmy Garoppolo. I just get done with it. Now, apparently there's no offers for Jimmy Garoppolo. Really? Okay, cool. So what? You're just going to keep him on? I don't know. I just think that's a bad. Then release him. And give Trey Lance a fresh start. Well, people can say, well, we want to get something for him or nothing. But think about it from a mental standpoint for what that does to Trey Lance's progression as an NFL quarterback at the age of 21. He's a young buck, man. He doesn't need that distraction. And do you think Jimmy Garoppolo is really going to show him the ropes? Yo, we're competing for a job here. Like, you're in competition with me. Like, I'll help you, but I'm not going to show you the ins and outs of, you know, how to get things done. I don't know. I just think it's a competition at the end of the day. But at the end of the day, you have to give Trey Lance every opportunity to be the starting quarterback. Because if things go sour and the team goes 1-3, in comes Jimmy Garoppolo. That's just how it's going to play out. I called it last year. Again, you guys can check my freaking playlist. I even created a freaking playlist here in the BEASTwriter family, exactly a timeline of how I see things playing out. I said it's going to create a toxic locker room dynamic because the veterans want Jimmy Garoppolo. Fast forward to today, what happened? Everyone from Armstead to Deebo, everyone had, it's all Jimmy Garoppolo. Yeah, man, we won Jimmy Garoppolo. And they have good reason to say that. Jimmy Garoppolo is a good starting quarterback. Is he a top 15, top 20 quarterback? No. But he does. There's some kind of, what's the word? Emotional attachment to the player because nostalgia comes into play, and he was the starting quarterback when they went to the Super Bowl. Yeah. But thank you so much, Varun. I appreciate the love and support for the Super Chat and Super Sticker. My man, Daniel Jr. Middleton, another Super Chat and Super Sticker says, join the newsletter, everyone. All love, bro. Yeah, the newsletter is fire, dude. I'm being biased, but no. Thank you so much for saying that. No, in all honesty, I put a lot of depth, a lot of in-depth analysis, I should say, in each piece. Like, it takes me anywhere. I mean, the mock drafts, you guys know. Let's just put it this way. The email, because it's a newsletter, so you get an email. The inbox of an email cannot hold the number of characters that I have for an article. So I have to break it up in two different installments sometimes. That's how in-depth I go. These are long-form things. You will not find this anywhere on the web. I'm telling you that right now. And that's why we're getting subscribers left and right. Boom, boom, boom. And then you check off the Beast receipts. Look, check off the Beast receipts because everything I say in real time, I cross-check in hindsight. I call myself out. I'm not afraid to do it. Why? Because I'm more right than wrong. And if I'm wrong, okay, cool story. I got one wrong. Move on. But if you're following somebody who consistently gets it wrong in real time and in hindsight, it's like, what are we doing? I'm not going to waste your time, so don't waste mine. Waruna says, if Jimmy starts in 2022, I'll let anyone hit me with a baseball bat and go to a coma for a year. Oh my gosh. Well, I wouldn't let anyone touch you with a baseball bat, man. Daniel says, cut him with a sack lunch parting gift. You know what? And it's crazy, though. I see how some fans are like so torn between Jimmy Garoppolo, Trey Lance, right? Obviously, we see Trey Lance's potential, but potential doesn't mean much if you don't live up to the hype, right? We had my boy Randy Miller on the show, and he said he heard from a well-respected current GM that he's a year away from being away, meaning a year away from being away, not 1 year away, 1 year away from being away. So that he's still 1 year away if he starts this year. And I heard that from another GM as well. So I'm not saying Trey Lance is not good. I'm not saying that. He's only 21. That'd be dumb for me to say that. All I'm saying is you guys have to give him time and every opportunity to succeed because he is going to have those bumps in the road. You can't expect him to go, and I see some stat lines. Oh, he's going to throw for 25, 27 touchdowns and throw for 4,000 yards and have only throw like 16 INTs or 10 INT, whatever the number. I think it was like 14 INTs. Some guy put that out there. I'm like, dude, like that's some promising numbers. That's some promising numbers. Not with Deebo Samuel. Jimmy and Deebo to the Giants for Saquon and 7th overall. D-Loke 187 from the BEASTwriter family. He says Jimmy and Deebo to the Giants. Let me think about this. So they do. So the problem with this, right, is yes, do the Giants really need a wide receiver though? Because they have Sterling Shepard, right? He restructured his contract, which I'm a huge supporter of Sterling Shepard. Liked him coming out of Oklahoma as a 2nd round pick. Really thought he brought that Steve Smith skill set, right? Gets injured a lot, but I still like Sterling Shepard. If he can stay healthy, again, check the Beast receipts on Twitter. That's one of the reasons why they went out and got Kenny Galladay last offseason, right? And that's one of the reasons they drafted Kadarius Toney. What was Kadarius Toney drafted? Number 19 or something like that? That's why they drafted him out of Florida, right? That's their Swiss Army knife, right? That's their guy. So you have a trio of wide receivers there. You go ahead and get Deebo Samuel, and then you double down on that with Jimmy Garoppolo for the 7th overall pick. realistically at 7, what's realistically going to be there, right? So you have to look at it from, again, Joe Schoen's standpoint, right? So what is Joe Schoen really getting in return if he gives up that 7th overall pick? And whether the 49ers are going to get that 7th pick in return for a guy like Deebo Samuel. Now, Deebo Samuel's a generational talent. I get it. But then again, you're giving up Saquon Barkley, and this is a weak running back class. And I really love Saquon Barkley. Look, Saquon Barkley and Sterling Shepard are two guys that I talked to the 49ers scouts before the draft took place for those respective players. And I say, look, watch out for even won 95-7 the game and talked about it. Came BR. They asked me my thoughts, and this was 2 years away from Saquon Barkley coming. I was like, dude, watch this Penn State running back, man. He's going to be a generational talent. Now, is he a generational talent? I still think he could be, but he gets injured too much, just like Sterling Shepard. So time will tell. But I don't see that trade happening. Now watch me be wrong and watch it happen. I just don't see it happening from both sides. I think the better play for the Giants would be to hold on to that 7th overall pick, keep Saquon Barkley, see what it can do. Because again, he's on a rookie pay scale deal anyways, right? And so I would see what you have give him at least one more chance, one more year, right? So, and again, realistically, if you're on the clock right there at number 7, do you think a guy like Kayvon Thibodeau is going to be the answer? Like, to me, Kayvon Thibodeau, and this is not, and again, I tweeted this out, put this in the newsletter. Kayvon Thibodeau to me is a little bit overrated. He's a little bit overrated. My opinion. Ran the grades. To me, he's a little bit, I love his pass rush, right? So a team that can use Kayvon Thibodeau as strictly a main edge rusher, fine, by all means, man. He's gonna eat. He's gonna feast. He has the NFL pass rush arsenal. But if you ask him to be disciplined and run fit integrity, I don't know. That's why I think a guy like Lovie Smith, right? Lovie Smith always gets his players in the best position to make plays, especially along the defensive line. Why? Because he doesn't ask them to do what they can't do. He asks them what they can do and do that very well. So in Kayvon Thibodeau's instance, he can rush the passer and rush really well. So if that's his main job and he goes to the Houston Texans, hey, I'm all for it. And he might put up 10, 12 sacks in his rookie year. But if he goes to a team that asks him to be sound run fit edge setter, I'm not so sure. I probably wouldn't grade out that well in my BDF grading system. But yeah, you got to look at it from that standpoint. I think Kayvon Thibodeau, especially, what are the needs for the New York Giants? He can go across the board. Yes, they need a quarterback. They can use a wide receiver, obviously. Tight end, right? Offensive lineman. I think, obviously, I don't think they're going to give up what are they picking at? The New York Giants. They pick out what? 5th and 7th, right? 5th and 7th, right? So they have a plethora of different needs. In fact, they have the most needs of any NFL team. So they can go in a variety of different directions. But how I see this one playing out, man, it's going to be interesting. Either way, it's going to be interesting, but I just don't see this trade playing out. I think Joe Schoen is going to go ahead and stick with Saquon Barkley out of Penn State. And I think he's going to stick with Daniel. Well, no, probably not Daniel, because he didn't pick him. That's a Dave Gettleman guy. Remember when they had 3 first-round picks? Dexter Lawrence was another one. Who was the other one? They had 3 first-round picks. Dexter Lawrence, they got Daniel Jones, and they got someone else. Was it Saquon Barkley? I don't know. It was long ago. I don't think it was Saquon Barkley, but I believe they had 3 first-round draft picks. I want to say it was who was it? It wasn't Azeez Ojulari, was it? No, because that was last year. I don't know. It was somebody. I want to say it's a defensive guy. John Zach says this organization is dysfunctional. Parag trying to win the battle with getting the best deal. Lynch is worried about saving face and getting something for Garoppolo or cutting him, and Kyle's just in limbo waiting to happen. Look at that. That was the kicker. Alejandro Bermudez from Facebook. Hey, do you do us a favor, man? Follow us on the BEASTwriter family here on YouTube. Says, since there's too much smoke screens, I'll just wait for April 28th to see what's going to happen. If Deebo doesn't get traded between 1 and 10 first round, then he will not. I don't understand that. I do not understand. Trying to understand that. I think he can get traded for multiple round 1 picks outside of the top 10. That's my opinion. All right. Tobias England. Haven't seen you in a while, man. He says, think we can cut him without clearing medical unless we want a $7 million penalty against cap. Wow. Mark says, diehard faithful here, but bye Deebo. If you want to cry about playing both positions, I would think you would want to be unique, but it's his agent trying to get him money year early. Look, the NFL is a business. Again, the NFL is a business. Get yours. Look, you just got off work. You're watching this or you're at work. I mean, if you know Deebo's value and you know your own value, why would you settle for anything less? Swipe left, move on. As his agent, I would do the same exact thing. Yo, they're not going to pay you. Look, we're going to get ours, man. You're going to get a fat signing bonus. You're going to get a front-loaded deal. We're going to have protection from injury, all that. And there's going to be a team like GM Joe Douglas can do it. Brian Gutekunst can do it. All these teams, Joe Schoen can do it if he wanted to. But I don't think Joe Schoen would do it because, again, you hold favorable draft capital. And again, 5 and 7, how many years in NFL history do you hold 2 top 10 picks in any given draft? So there's a lot of different teams that can do it. Obviously, Brett Veach, we just talked about from the Kansas City Chiefs, can do it. But at the end of the day, Deebo's gone. Hate to break your guys' hearts, man. But Deebo is all but gone. And for anyone saying, we don't need Deebo, just one good year. I see the memes on Facebook, and we're all in the same Facebook groups. Oh, Deebo, 1 year, yeah, whatever. Now he wants all this money. Nah, man, it's like he had 2 years of production. Check the Beast receipts. Go look at my BEASTwriter Plus newsletter. I put it up there. His rookie year, predicted a stat line. Spot on in hindsight. Again, another Beast receipt. Boom. And then you double down on that, and he's basically creating a new position, the wide back. It's a copycat league. You're going to see a lot of people try to use the wide back. By the way, I think his name's Tommy Tremble from the Carolina Panthers. I think it hit me right now. Tommy Tremble from the Carolina Panthers. I think he was drafted number 83 overall. If I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, Panthers fans. Werner Pereira says, I am not expecting Lance to have a great year in 22. My expectation is he'll become, He's about 4 years away from being good. Daniel Jr. Middleton says, my mind's starting while reading your breakdowns gives me a lot to consider and analyze myself. Look, that's the whole point of the newsletter, is so I can formulate my analysis so you guys can see it from not only my perspective, but then also raise self-awareness for you guys to formulate your own analysis. We all have brains, so use it. Don't just listen to what the masses are telling you or the talking heads are telling you. I actually challenge you in the newsletter. Say, hey, look, this is just my opinion. But the Beast receipts check out. But, hey, you can formulate your own opinion and have your own receipts and then cross-check those receipts, right? So thank you to hear that I'm hearing this news because, again, knowledge is power. Knowledge is power here in the BWF. It's all about educating and teaching you guys exactly the tricks of the trade from my perspective. But then again, you guys can have your own tricks of the trade and you guys can teach me some things too. So it goes both ways. It's great. Jerry Yang says Jimmy G being gone from the 49ers is better for both parties. Just not sure if anyone wants Jimmy. Well, the Niners want Jimmy, apparently. I'm joking, Jerry. I don't know. Actually, to be honest with you, I don't know. I mean, technically the players want Jimmy, right? The veterans want Jimmy. So technically the Niners do want Jimmy. I just think it's unfair for Trey Lance. My man Daniel says, Deebo, thank you so much for the super chat. We appreciate it. Deebo leaked IGLive.outkick.com. What is that? What's IGLive.outkick.com? I have no idea what that is, but that's interesting. I have no idea. Deebo leaked IG Live. Oh, so he went on Instagram Live and he leaked his story. Is that what's happening? Now everyone's going to be all over this, dude. Everyone's going to be all over this is true. What's outkick.com? I have no idea what outkick.com is. Jimmy and Deebo to the Panthers for the number 6. But thank you so much for the super chat and super sticker. Keep them coming. Jimmy G. Mark says Jimmy and Deebo to the Panthers for the number 6 and McCaffrey. Wow. That's interesting that people are talking about the Carolina Panthers and GM Scott Fitter, who comes from the Seattle Seahawks, would make this power play move. Scott Fitter I like Scott Fitter, by the way. Obviously, he works with Matt Rule because Matt Rule was there first. But I just don't see that happening because, again, they have Sam Darnold. And what are they going to do? that experiment failed by getting a veteran. I think what Matt Rule wants to do is he wants to get a rookie quarterback. You know why? Because it buys him another year. He can always turn back. But we have Malik Willis, man. Obviously, year 2 is where the guy's going to really progress. Year 1 is kind of learning the ropes. And Matt Rule's on the hot seat. So if I was Matt Rule, I'd be making that same damn play because I'm like, damn, the NFL stands for not for long. As Jerry Glanville always said, right? You guys know who Jerry Glanville is. Used to be the coach of the Atlanta Falcons and was the rival coach in the NFC West. Jerry Glanville's kind of funny. I think that guy's funny. He's kind of a funny guy. But anyways, getting back to it, some memories popped in my head. But getting back to it, I don't see Scott Fitter making this play. I just don't see it happening. But now watch me be wrong. Watch Christian McCaffrey go to the. I would love that. Christian McCaffrey to the Niners. In fact, now we're talking, right? Because Deebo Samuel, Christian McCaffrey, kind of similar skill set. But I would give the slight edge to Deebo Samuel, obviously, because I think he's been more productive. Both players have been injured. That's an interesting take. Maybe I have to have a newsletter on that. You guys are giving me some thoughts. See, I'm learning something. See, Carolina Panthers could be in play at number 6. But I don't think it's going to happen because Matt Rule wants to buy another year with a rookie quarterback to save his job. He's on the hot seat. I don't think Scott Fitter is going anywhere. I think Scott Fitter is going to stay, and Scott Fitter is going to be able to get his head coach that he wants. And it ain't Matt Rule because Matt Rule's on the hot seat. And if he's not there, he's not there. D-Loke says, look at this optimism from D-Loke. He says, my guess is Deebo gets signed the day of training camp. Oh, man. That if there's odds on that in a sports book in Las Vegas, put $1 on it and you make like what? $5 million? I'm joking. There is no odds like that. But if there was, why not? I just don't see it happening is what I'm trying to say. I don't see that happening. But hey, watch it happen now. Ray Lee from the BEASTwriter family says, with rookie deals, you could negotiate a new deal after your 3rd year. The way the Niners are using him, he should ask for a new deal to protect. Yes, he should. Players have to look out for themselves because if you don't look out for yourself, no one else will. I have Deebo's back on this, bro. Like, what are we doing? By the way, I downplayed the whole death threats that Deebo was getting on social media. I talked about it on my last live stream. Yes, Niner fans do send death threats. How do I know? Because I got death threats. It happens. And we all follow the same people and the same account with the same avatar with the same names. Like, duh. Like, it happens. It's the nature of the beast, dude. That's the nature of the beast of social media. Like, everyone talks tough behind the computer screen, but to his face, would you really say those things? No. I've seen it. I've been at the gym when I see someone, hey, bro, like he come up to me like, oh man, like blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh yeah, aren't you the guy that sent me that death threat that you said you wanted to kill me and go to my funeral or whatever? True story. Oh no, yeah, I didn't mean it. How quickly opinions change on the face-to-face interaction. I call them keyboard gangsters, man. Everyone brings out the AK-47 keyboard gangsters. Like, oh, I'm gonna get you. It's like, nah, dude. Anyways, Daniel Junior says, "Is a wideout even worth?" Well, it all depends, right? I think when you talk about wideouts, I talked about it on YouTube here. Exactly, the contract snag, right? So if you guys want to go ahead and do this and have this run in the background, or watch this later, there is a BEASTwriter Deebo Samuel contract snag. Just type that in YouTube. You guys will see everything what I had to say on what is worth. I posted that back on February 2nd. And again, if you're in the newsletter, my man. Oh, actually, since you're a newsletter subscriber, I embedded that video into the post. So watch the Deebo Samuel article or read it. Watch it. You can also watch it. Yeah, you can do both. But in there, it'll have the YouTube video back on February 2nd and my analysis on what he's worth. Charles Jones says, why would Deebo leave the 49ers? So it comes down to money, man. I don't care what anyone says. It comes down to money. But that's not the only reason. Comes down to money. Also comes down to reports saying that he doesn't want to play on the West Coast. Yes, that happens, by the way. It does happen. Like, I can verify, like, some people do not want to play on the West Coast. They want to be closer to home for a lot of different reasons, right? Maybe they're just more comfortable, whatever, So I get it. That could be a reason, right? That's a report that's a reason. So there's a number of different reasons. Usage. Someone said, again, I don't believe that. I think if you're going to use Deebo Samuel like that, he embraced the wide back position. He already went on record and said that in the BEASTwriter Plus newsletter, obviously. Some insider analysis that I posted on there with quotes from Deebo Samuel on being a wide back and how he embraced that role. It came down to, if he was going to be using that role, he should be compensated as much. And that's where the money comes into play. Ray Lee says, if it ain't 25 mil, we don't want it. Look, Deebo Samuel is worth $25 million. 25 plus. Let's put it this way. There wouldn't be this much NFL media hype if Deebo Samuel wasn't worth this much money. If you think about it, because everyone would be like, oh, he's not worth that much money. But no, it's a debate and it's a hot topic. Arguably the hottest topic in all of sports right now is Deebo Samuel requesting a trade, because why? He created the wide back position, which is, how do you quantify the wide back? Is there top 5 wide back money? Is there top 5 wide back money? I mean, if you franchise tag Deebo Samuel, is there going to be a category for the wide back? No. So again, he's just changing the game, and that's rubbing people the wrong way in upper management, because he's changing the game. Like, look, Deebo single-handedly, you can argue, got you to where you are, like in that last NFC Championship run. You take Deebo Samuel out of the equation, you ain't getting that far. You ain't getting past the Green Bay Packers. That special teams play was a fluke. Now, it's a good play. Don't get me wrong. It's a good play. But what are the odds? Just saying. Tobias England says, I think we can trade Jimmy G to Carolina for a 4 this year, a 3 next year, and Sam Darnold, they need to get his money off the books. Oh, on the books. Of the books. Oh, Dan Jr. Middleton said, no, accidentally his mom's or grandma's IG. Well, I didn't hear about that one. But if that's making waves, man, that's crazy. You guys got to keep me updated. See, I'm learning stuff. As I do a live stream. See, it's all about educational purposes here. I'm learning, you're learning. Hopefully you're learning something from me. I'm definitely learning something from you. It's all love here in the BWF. Rayleigh says, no way Carolina gets a 4th, 3rd, and Donald for Jimmy. Fletcher Valentine says, family connection with the Shanahans and McCaffrey. That is definitely true. If you guys don't know that connection, I believe it was back in the 1994-95 season or 1993-94 season. Can't remember. Ed McCaffrey, who is Christian McCaffrey's father, played for the San Francisco 49ers. And I believe who else was on that roster during that time? What's that guy's name? John Taylor obviously was there. Jerry Rice was obviously there. But who was the other wide receiver that wasn't really a big name guy? I want to say his name was Schrader. I don't know. I think it starts with an S. I think his last name, number 88, if I'm not mistaken. But he was on that team during that year. And before he went on to the Denver Broncos with Coach Mike Shanahan, Sterling Sharp, I believe. And the thing with Ed McCaffrey that I'll always remember is that spike that he does after scoring a touchdown. Also remember him on the intro video of Madden on the PlayStation, like where he caught a ball and he just got wrecked, but he still caught the ball. That was pretty amazing. All right. A guy called Ed says, thoughts, trade Deebo to Miami for Waddle and a pick or 2. Who refuses this trade? If Deebo refuses to play with us, I would love Waddle in return. Everyone likes Jalen Waddle. Look, I'm a huge Roll Tide Roll fan. I really am. Jalen Waddle is no Deebo Samuel. He's a lot smaller. He's not as strong. I think people are trying to trick themselves into thinking that somebody can just easily replace a Deebo Samuel. No. Deebo Samuel is one of a kind. He is a generational talent. My opinion. And again, if he wasn't this if the value wasn't in line with what I'm saying, it wouldn't be a hot topic that we're seeing on ESPN and NFL Network. Just saying. Like if it's just one. Christopher Duba says foreigners offering him the money, he just doesn't want to be used like he is being used, which I understand. How much are they offering? 19, 20 million? Nah, dude. He needs to get paid at least 25, 27 million. It's always about the money. Really says if a trade in the works, it'll happen before the draft or on draft day. Ooh, FEMA camp etiquette for dummies says Deebo to the Bears for the Bears 39 and 48. Look, does GM Ryan Poole, if you guys don't know who GM Ryan Poole is, again, if you follow me here on the BWF, I cover all 32 NFL teams. Look at now we're talking about the Chicago Bears. This is transition to Chicago Bears. Look what they did, right? They went ahead and had a solid free agency, right? Ryan Poole comes from obviously the Brett Veach tree, coming from the Kansas City Chiefs. He was obviously moving up the ranks, right? I did a whole piece on Ryan Poole. You guys can go see that. Just type in Ryan Poole, BEASTwriter, boom, it's there. Obviously, he played offensive lineman, right, as an undrafted rookie free agent. So we can talk story about Ryan Poole all day long. I think he's going to be a great GM. He talks about valuation versus evaluation, something I discussed in the newsletter. And so when you try to break it down from Ryan Poole's perspective and getting a guy like Deebo Samuel, okay, again, they lose Allen Robinson to the LA Rams, so they do have some guys. I do like Darnell Mooney. I think he's a guy who can be definitely a wide receiver too. Topped 1,000 receiving yards last year, so I really like him and what he brings to the table. But again, they do need a wide receiver one, but I don't think Ryan Poole would give up 39 and 48 for Deebo Samuel simply because he wants to get younger, and he builds his team through the draft. Right? He builds his team through the draft and complements the missing pieces in free agency. So for him to strike this deal and then give up his draft capital to his scouting department, they're probably going to say this like, whoa, what are we doing? Like you said that you wanted to build through the draft. Didn't you learn from Brett Veach? Boom. I don't see it happening. Now watch it happen. Isaac Lunger says, do you think they would get a first for Deebo? If you already said this, my bad, tuning in. Like, nah, you're good, bro. You're good. You're good. I understand people come in at different times. All good. I'll say it again. Yes. Bottom line, yes, they're going to get a 1 for Deebo Samuel. In fact, if I was GM John Lynch and I'm giving away my best players, I want something in return. Now, first round picks are no guarantee. I would, obviously, if it was me, I would like a round 1 pick and a player. And by player, I mean a Pro Bowl player, an established veteran, someone that was in the league for 3 to 4 years, right? So you can kind of work with for a long-term deal for the foreseeable future. I don't want somebody on his last legs, right? I don't want like I'm just going to throw a name out there, right? He's obviously not going to be an option or scheme fit, whatever. Let's just say Everson Griffin or someone like that. Like you wouldn't trade for Brandon Whiting, right? You wouldn't trade for a player like that. But yes, I think getting back to your question, the round 1 pick is definitely in the cards, especially with 8 teams holding multiple round 1 picks and all of them have a pressing need for a wide receiver. John Zach says, Deebo to Jets for 35-30 and round 1 next year. That's an interesting take. I would do that. I think that's good, but 1 round 1 pick, and I think it's going to be a bunch of day 2 picks. But again, it's all about being traded to the highest bidder, right? If you hold multiple round 1 picks and there's a team like the Jets are offering 2 2s and 1 next year, and you're looking at your positional needs, and based on your positional needs in this draft class, you look at the cream of the crop of this draft class and you cross-check that with the horizontal board versus the vertical board based on what's coming out next year, and you're projecting where you're going to be ending up as the season ends next year, and then you're going to formulate exactly the positional needs, and then again, the cream of the crop of those positions next year, it might make sense. Now, there's a lot of layers to the onion to really get to that core, but again, that's why you have a scouting department, that's why you have a pro player personnel department, and that's why you have me to break it down for you. Christopher Dupas says, if one player accounts for 28% of a team's total offense, he is most definitely worth $25 million. Get the Dr. Evil reference. That was a horrible reference, by the way. Fletcher Valentine says, I bet Parag offered him $18 million that was received. Like, y'all don't appreciate or respect me. I'm out. Probably. And I love Parag. Parag, my boy. Good dude. Actually got to know him before covering the 49ers as a beat writer. Actually got me on the field during the playoffs. That's where I first met him. Met him at Candlestick Park. No, Parag's a good guy. I like Parag. I mean, this job is not easy. I mean, his job is not. Oh yeah, it feels easy. It's not easy. These jobs are not easy. Like everyone thinks it's not. It's very difficult. So like, but at the end of the day, it's like it's Deebo Samuel. Like, this is one we're like, dude, you have to pay Deebo Samuel, dude. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Rayleigh says, I know you already mentioned this, but what irks me is people saying he only had one great season, like his rookie season didn't even exist. Deebo nearly broke jersey. There you go. See how I get upset how quickly 49er fans, Steelers fans, whatever fan base or team you root for, turn on the player like it's their fault. Like, just call it for what it is. It is what it is, man. Deebo Samuel is a generational talent, in my opinion. He created the wide back. Everyone was on Deebo's nuts up until that playoff run and through the playoffs. Oh, Deebo's this, Deebo's that, Deebo's this, Deebo's. And now the same people are saying, we don't need him. There's only 1 year. Get the out of here, bro. What are we doing? Don't be salty. Just saying. Deebo. Let me tell you, 31 other NFL teams would love to have Deebo on the roster. FEMA says widebacks are so rare that they get the call to their own shots and also get part ownership of the team. There you go. Yes, it was Sherrod. Thank you so much. You guys are saying, what am I saying, Sherrod? Yes. What was his first name? So this is the guy who played with, obviously, Ed McCaffrey, John Taylor, Jerry Rice. I remember this because I think back in, well, my family's had front row season tickets to the Niners game since 1991. And I have a vivid memory. I think it was number 88. I want to say he was number 88. Correct me if I'm wrong, Michael, if you know that, because I'm doing a live stream. I don't want to look it up because I'm too lazy. I'm joking. I could look it up, but it's not that important. Daniel Jr. Middleton, whoever signs Deebo will set the standard for the wide back, and players will start training as wide backs. Yeah, I agree. Jason says you pay him whatever. Isaac, look at this. Isaac with a hot take says Waddle has better hands and is a better route runner. That may be true, but Deebo Samuel has better lateral agility in open space, making tacklers miss, forced missed tackles, creates yards after contact. And by the way, can do a lot of window shopping, pre-snap alignment, confusing defenses, going from strong side to weak side. But I do like Jalen Waddle. Look, we can make the argument. Jalen Waddle, he is that guy, but he's also on the smaller side. This is where my strength and conditioning side comes into, obviously, bodybuilding, fitness. You guys get the picture. Working with these players, Jalen Waddle cannot do what Deebo Samuel does consistently. He's going to be damaged goods by year 3 if he plays the way Deebo Samuel does. I'm just saying, Deebo Samuel has the physique to withstand that type of contact. Now, we saw him obviously get worn down as the season wore on. You think Jalen Waddle can handle that type of production for a whole season? Probably by week 8, week 9, the bye week. Oof. He's going to be like, man, is the season over yet? No, man, we're only halfway through. Mark said Stokes. Oh, yeah, JJ Stokes, number 83. My man, Daniel Jr. Middleton, again with the super chat, says you need to get a good wide receiver and running back to replace Deebo. That is very true. I like Elijah Mitchell, though. Don't you guys like Elijah? I like Elijah Mitchell. I think Elijah Mitchell is going to be really good for what they do. I'm a huge fan of Elijah Mitchell. And we've seen the Shanahans turn running backs like it's a factory school. Mike Anderson, Olandis Gary, Terrell Davis. The list goes on and on and on. So I'm not concerned with the running back position. I'm more concerned with what Deebo Samuel brings to the table, like you said, Daniel, from a running back and wide receiver position, hence the wide back. Great point. Look at. Thank you so much for the super chat, by the way. David Velez says, yo, Deebo single-handedly won 4 games last year. There you go. Here we go. Now we're talking facts. What value do you put for a win? How much would you pay to move on, to move your team from 6-11 to 10-7? I think $25 million a year is perfectly reasonable. Yep. John Zach says, On Deebo's Leaked Live, he's talking to AJ Brown about the Niners only offering him 18 or 19 million a year, and he's only a family member's IG in the record. Yeah, see, he's only getting 18. That's a slap in Deebo Samuel's face, right? 18, 19 million dollars a year is a slap in Deebo's face. That's like saying, thanks, but we're only going to give you 18, 19 million. That's like saying you're number one in sales, but we're going to pay you like you're the number 3 guy. But wait, I'm number 1 in sales. Yeah, but you do a lot of different stuff really well too. What? Does that even make sense? So if I do them well, then why don't you pay me what I'm worth? Again, in the BEASTwriter Plus newsletter, which you see right here in the description box below, and also in that banner, I break it down in layman terms, comparing it to a Silicon Valley tech, biotech company, person A, person B, and person C, and I break it down brick by brick. Fast forward to today, and here we are. Definitely subscribe to the BEASTwriter Plus newsletter. You guys are missing out if you don't. I'm telling you, there's a lot of good information. Again, 287 subscribers and counting. Chris Dupa says, man, I think Ayuk is the same player as Waddle. Ooh, I think Waddle's a little bit better than Brandon Ayuk. But that's a good opinion. That's an opinion. That's an opinion. I like Jalen Waddle a little bit more than Brandon Ayuk, though. Yeah. Oh, Isaac says, I wasn't saying he could do what Deebo does. Definitely couldn't. I'm just saying he is different and would bring his own type. That is true. He would bring another type of value. He would also bring versatility in the return game too, right? We see them try that out with Trent Taylor, and didn't they try it out with Trent Sherfield a little bit, and some of these other guys in the past? Hey, maybe Kyle Shanahan goes out and gets another Jalen Hurd to be the wide back, right? Maybe, who knows? Jalen Hurd was supposed to be that guy. Everyone forgot about Jalen Hurd. He was supposed to be that guy. Michael says, great memory, Beast number 88, Mark Sherrard. Yes. Thank you. Yes, thank you. Appreciate the love. Damn, I don't know how I have no idea how. My brain is just like, it's like a computer. It's like spits out facts and like knowledge on NFL stuff. Like, I don't know. Maybe I played too much Madden as a kid. I don't know. Which I did. But once NFL 2K came out, NFL 2K beat the crap out of Madden. I don't care what anyone says. NFL 2K, way better than Madden. I'm mad at the NFL if you're watching this for basically pushing NFL 2K series out because Visual Concepts was the ish. And they transformed the game. So bring back NFL 2K series, please, by Visual Concepts. And obviously Madden holds the rights to that dubbed down product, but what do you expect over the course of the years? Because there's no competition. Fletcher says, boom, I nailed it. $18 million. Today's price is not yesterday's price. Brian Gunda said there's videos on one of the Niners pages saying he feels disrespected because they haven't given him an offer, pretty much saying when they're ready. Well, that's kind of effed up if that happens. Jeez. Mark says Deebo versus Waddle is like comparing a Mini to an Escalade. So I'm assuming that Deebo Samuel's the Mini. I'm joking. Obviously, you know he's the Escalade. I wouldn't disagree with that. John Zach says Deebo literally saved the Niners year, not only wide receiver and running back and kick return to throw. Yeah, people forget he threw that touchdown pass against, if I'm not mistaken, it was the last game of the year, and it was again. I was running the grades. My memory, here it goes. See, like a computer. I believe it was against the Los Angeles Rams last game, and it was Jalen Ramsey who broke the cardinal rule and gave up his zone coverage assignment. Correct me if I'm wrong. Chris Dupas, yo, NFL 2K was the best football. Yes, thank you. NFL 2K was the best football game ever. Like, ever. I would play that. Literally, I would play that. Like, I would skip school and play that like all day long. Like, for real. Like, I would be like, pretend I'm sick, go home, be playing it. I'd be playing it so much that my hands would start sweating. And then, the controller, you guys know what I'm talking about, hit stick, whatever. Like, it would be so sweaty. I'd have to because I'd be playing for 8 hours straight. Like, I was that dude. Like, I was just like, yeah, basketball practice. Yeah, football practice. Nope, I'm not going. Like, I'm playing. And I'd be late. It's all good. What happened? Oh, my mom got off work late. Now my coaches are watching this. Oh, that's why you were late all these. You're the team captain. Well, whatever. Talk about work ethic. Hey, just work ethic somewhere else on the TV screen. That's it. Thank you so much, Rayleigh. He says, keep up the great work, Ryan. Thank you so much, man. Mahalo for the love and support. I got to actually head out because I am going on the Relevant app. If you guys have not downloaded the Relevant app, again, I post this stuff up on my social media, mainly on Twitter. I can do it here on YouTube as well. I probably should start doing that. Also, I post it on my Instagram. I am on In the Huddle with my guy, Sean Salisbury. I host the show. But Sean Salisbury's on it, Glenn Parker, Tom McManus, and also my co-host of Don't Cross the Beast Empire. You guys know Randy Cross. So the Power Five, if you will, we are on In the Huddle every Thursday at 5 p.m. So that's why I got to cut this YouTube live stream short before I go ahead and get going. But I just want to say thank you and mahalo to each and every one of you for subscribing to my channel and all the super chat and super stickers and all the love and support. If you guys are asking me how you get more information as to my thoughts on all things NFL, whether it be the Niners, Steelers, Raiders, whatever the case may be sure to subscribe to my BEASTwriter Plus newsletter. If you guys are watching on YouTube, it's in the description box below, or just go to BEASTwriterNFL.com that you see on the banner, and you can go ahead and subscribe there as well. Thank you so much, guys. I'll be back on hopefully tomorrow, depending on my work schedule and my workout schedule. But this has been fun times. Hopefully you guys learned something. I definitely learned something from all of you as each day passes. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have a good day. BEASTwriter out.